What do you do if you're not achieving at the level you want in an area of life that's important to you? So on today's podcast, that is exactly the question I want to dig into. And I can't say that I've figured it out for every area of my life. And I have figured it out for definitely in business, definitely in wealth building, definitely I'm getting better in my marriage. In my physical body, I figured it out in my workouts, not so much in my diet. And so it's this, how do we go about shifting our identity to achieve massive results? The best example of what I mean by this is I decided I was going to run a marathon. So I'm a hard charging, sort of goal driven guy, and I want big obstacles and typical, entrepreneurial mindset, just the crazy, we need a challenge, right? And if we get bored, it's not good because we create these stupid challenges for ourselves. So this was 2015. I decided I was going to run a marathon. And so first thing I did was I went to the Google and I started researching like training plans for a marathon. And then pretty quick, I figured out it's based on the time you want to achieve, where you start, if you're a runner or not a runner. I wasn't a runner at the time at all, really. I just decided that I was going to do this and I wanted to do it under 4 hours. And so that's not like super fast, but it's pretty good. It's decent. It's a 9-minute, 9-second average pace for 26.2 miles, including any breaks or, water breaks or, potty breaks or anything like that. So that was my plan. And I think it was probably I don't even remember, 18-week or 16-week or 22-week. Like it was just like detailed out, and it was weeks on the left and then days 1 through 7 on the right. And all you need to do was the thing it said to do, like run 5 miles at this pace or do, intervals, and for a minute on, 30 seconds off, high knees, run back, like long runs on Saturdays. I just did the thing. I checked it off and I did it. Did it. And so we got to race day and I was ready. We started, there was 4 of us running together, and one of the 4 made the comment. We were at mile 6 and our pace was like 8:12 in 6 miles in. And he made the comment. He said, guys, I think we're going a little too fast. They say the strategy in a marathon, if you have a time that you want to beat, like, so 4 hours, so 9:09 was my pace throughout the whole thing that I wanted to hit. You have to go a little bit slower than that in your first 10 miles and then faster than that on your last 10 miles. And it's really counterintuitive. And you get out there and you're super excited. This is my first marathon, my only marathon. I've never run one again. And we just blew it on the whole strategy. We well, I say one of the guys did finish at like 8:30 average, but he's like a gazelle. And so I come in at 4:19. I had nothing left by the end. Mile 18 or 19, this was a DC Marine Corps marathon. And at like mile 18 or 19, you hit a bridge that feels like Mount Everest. And I could hardly walk up this thing. It killed me. And so my last 6 miles, my average was like 13-minute miles, and I blew it. So what does this have to do with shifting your identity? After that marathon, I don't think I ran. Like, my goal was the reason I even signed up for a marathon was that I wanted to get in shape, And so what does an entrepreneurial, weird personality, hard charging, driven guy do when he wants to get in shape? He signs up for a marathon. I didn't run for a year after that marathon, and I probably only worked out 1 to 2 days a week for the next year. I went from running like 6 days a week, 5 hard, and then we had an optional cross training. And I even worked out on like the 1 or 2 off days in this training program. And I was 4 hour, marathon ready. My strategy was wrong. The point was that I my goal was to run a marathon, and I did it. I didn't shift my identity to become someone who's fit or to become a runner. This dawned on me, this concept of shifting your identity, a book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. I read the book after I trained for the marathon, or after I did the marathon. The marathon was October 2015. And in the book, Atomic Habits, it is a phenomenal book. I highly recommend it. I've read it 3 times, maybe 4 times. And when I say I've read it, I've listened to it. I don't read books. I'm not a good reader of books. In the book, he talks about, the only way to have like a sustainable result, so a result that continues over time and not a one-time result. So in my case, the commitment I should have made, or my goal should have been, to become a runner. If I were to become a runner, the marathon would have been just a thing that I would have done. It wouldn't have been the ultimate goal. And so it really hit me hard, like, holy cow, I've been doing this in different areas of my business. And I see a lot of folks do this that come into real estate B school, and maybe it takes them a little while to make the identity shift from real estate agent to business owner. And it really doesn't matter where you are in your journey. In order to build a business that has, it's sustainable, it has its own life, a pulse without you being in it, right? The only way to do that is for you as the owner to make an identity shift from real estate agent, which traditionally a real estate agent does all the things. They do the 127 things that a real estate agent has to do. A traditional real estate agent does all those things. And as a result, if you're successful and you have that identity, and that's all you've been taught, you're going to max out your hours. You're going to work way too many hours in a day, and you're never going to make the kind of money that you deserve to make and that you're able to make. And when you start to make the shift, even in your mind, like, I'm a business owner, and what would have to be true about like how I show up, my identity in this business, what would have to be true for this business to run independent of me? And I know for some of you, that's a stretch for you to think about, like how can a real estate agent not show up in their business? And I don't want to stretch you too far, so you stop listening to the podcast. And I want to challenge you to think about like areas of your life where you're not performing how you'd like, or you're not achieving at the level you want. And in those areas, have you made a shift in your identity? So a good example for me is that I have not made this shift, an identity shift, in the area of diet. Somehow I'm too attached to food, or the comfort of it, or the habits around TV and snacking, or whatever. I just haven't made a shift there. It's funny, after the marathon and the year of basically just haphazardly working out, it took me a couple years, probably when we moved into this house. So that was the end of 2017. So October, probably took me 2.5 years to really embrace the identity of like an athlete. That's kind of the identity that I've chosen for my physical body. And, how would an athlete work out? Well, I guess I haven't fully embraced athlete because I don't eat like an athlete sometimes. And I'm working on that. I still want to keep the athlete identity and continue to challenge myself to identify as an athlete versus somebody that does a 60-day challenge and they work out for 60 days and then they fall off their wagon, or they run a marathon, they fall off the wagon. So my challenge, and the point of the podcast, is to challenge you to think about your identity in your business. How do you view yourself in the business? Do you view yourself, like, really identify with, agent or owner? And if you identify as an agent, the challenge is that when you achieve traditional success, it's going to be really hard. It's just going to be hard. I know top agents in my market that they claim to sort of love what they do, outwardly, and on Fakebook rather, they're hashtag rise and grind. First thing in the morning, getting ready for showings, 10:30 at night, they're posting, working an offer for a client. It's going to be awesome. Um, I wonder if they were to identify as a business owner. Business owners don't work 7 days a week. A lot of business owners don't need to show up to their business to earn a return on their investment. So Real Estate B School, what we focus on is where can we build systems in the business and have people run those systems. So you're working on a different game. You're playing a different game. You're building the systems. That's your investment. And you're looking for a return on that investment. So my journey was, I did it all my first full year in real estate. So 44 homes in 2008. I had 10 months in 2007. So the market was crashing. I did 10 months. I did 27 homes in 2007, 44 homes in 2008. And had a part-time assistant that year. I identified as a business owner starting that year because I said, there's no way I could do this. I can't sell more homes and still be a good dad and still be a good husband. So I made that mental shift and everything changed. I hired a buyer agent in 2009, a few more in 2010, 2011, we did 118 transactions. I still did about half of them, but I was out of the buyer side of the business at that point. In 2012, we did 240. Well, 2011, 178, then 248 in 2012. I did one transaction that year in 2012. And so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5 years for me to go from doing 44 sides, the whole business was me, to doing almost nothing in the business. And it's not good, bad, right, or wrong, what I wanted. The point is, like, how do you identify with your business? And is that identity going to give you what you want long-term in your business? So hopefully that challenges you a little bit to think about your business just a little bit differently. If you're at the point in your journey where, you wish there was a book that would kind of take you through someone's journey that went from, overwork, underpaid, real estate agent to business owner, wouldn't you love a copy of that book? I tease and I say it that way because I actually wrote a book called Scale or Die. And it really just opens your mind to what's possible in the real estate industry with building a business rather than being a real estate agent. So go to scaleorddiebook.com to grab your copy. It's scaleorddiebook.com, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Thanks for listening to the Business Freedom Podcast. If you're getting value from the podcast, would you please leave us a 5-star review and share it with others who might benefit from the content I'm sharing? And if you're ready to scale your real estate business sustainably and profitably, there are a couple options for you. If you're doing under $500,000 in annual GCI, our Business Foundations program is for you. Head over to getbusinessfoundations.com. That's getbusinessfoundations.com. and learn how you can make the shift from overwhelmed real estate agent to true business owner. If you're doing more than $500,000 in annual team GCI, there's our graduate program designed for top producers and team leaders who want to grow their team and scale their business. If that's you, go to realestatebschool.com and apply for a free business growth strategy session. No matter where you are in your business growth journey, we have the tools, systems, strategies, training, and coaching to get you where you want to be. Remember, only you can create your future. So take action now.